Jag döper dig till Nordic Prince.
Fint.
Our story begins in the modest Karelian village of Wartsila. It's 1834 and a small sawmill is built by the rapids. A few years later, the mill is bought by a young industrialist, Niels Ludvig Arpe. In the mid-1800s, the Finnish Senate encourages entrepreneurs to build more ironworks. Arpe gets a license to build 2 blast furnaces in Wartsila, and the Wartsila sawmill turns into an ironworks. In the mid-1920s, the company is in financial trouble due to the loss of the collapsed Soviet-Russian market. And the company's board appoints Wilhelm Wallfors, a young corporate restructurer, as president. Wallfors develops Wartsila into a multi-sector company and acquires big shipyards in its home country, Finland, challenged by Arctic conditions concerning both materials, industrial processes and power needs. He also anticipates the escalating threat of war in Europe and buys several domestic engineering works. These turn out to be useful during World War II, manufacturing ammunition, paper machines and other metal products. When Finland after the war is forced to pay considerable war reparations to the Soviet Union, Wartsila becomes the biggest supplier of items from the Finnish side. At the end of the 1940s, Wartsila is the biggest industrial company in Finland, with over 11,000 employees. But instead of its traditional licensed production of diesel engines, Wartsila now starts to develop its own diesel engines. In 1959, the company's first own diesel engine is powered up at the Vaasa plant on the Finnish west coast. During the 70s, Wartsila invests heavily in diesel engine technology. The Vaasa laboratory manages to run diesel engines with inexpensive heavy fuel. This turns out to be a milestone for the ship engine industry. In 1997, Wartsila's engine selection grows with the acquisition of Sulzer Diesel, a renowned Swiss maker of low-speed diesel engines. In one move, Wartsila becomes a world leader in ship engines.
Each of the engine is tailored for the customer, but there is a certain level of modularization behind it. Also in ships today, they are increasingly acting as power plants. So the propulsion of the vessel, it is not coming directly from the engine, but the engine is producing electricity, which is then driven to power the vessel, both the hotel load and then the load for driving the vessel.
Soon after the beginning of the new millennium, Wartsila increases its volume in marine diesels by acquiring various component manufacturers. Wartsila can now supply a ship's entire engine room with both engines and power transmission systems. The company also expands into ship design.
You have to be at a very early stage. You have to be in even before the owner actually knows what he or she wants. Then you can talk about really a life cycle solution with the best possible Wartsila products and of course the best possible design.
Shipbuilding has moved increasingly to Asia. This requires both physical and mental abilities from companies and their key people with roots in other regions of the planet.
I think this change in the shipbuilding moving over to Asia has taken place for quite some time. Myself coming from Göteborg, I saw in the 70s also when the shipyard was closing down, and by that time actually moving to Japan. Today, of course, it's China and Korea who are the two dominating shipbuilding nations, and that's where almost 80% of all shipbuilding is taking place today. That gives, of course, opportunities, but also challenges for companies like Wartsila, who is a global company, been operating all around the world for so many years. But to be operating in this part of the world, you need to be present. And that is also why we have been building up joint ventures, but also our own production facilities locally, both in Korea as well as in China. And that's what we're focusing on. So we believe that the future will mean that Wartsila has to be very local in this part of the world.
The company's leading global marine know-how has now taken an important step also on shore. The maintenance of ships and power plants has become an increasingly important business segment for Wartsila. This deepens its ties to clients and brings added stability to the business.
This global environmental drive, it is really something that is paving the way for Wartsila's business. And today we offer environmental solutions to our customers, both on the power plant side and especially on the marine side. On the marine side, the majority of the customers, they would be private vessel owners. Then on the power plant business, the customer types would be independent power producers that are then providing electricity to the grid. There would be public entities, and also, very importantly, there are also industrial customers who want to secure their own energy production with being independent from the overall grid.
Wartsila focuses on product development, environmental applications, and future energy technology. The challenge is to develop low power transmission solutions with optimal energy efficiency and low emissions.
The exciting thing with Wartsila is that already in the mid-80s, Wartsila introduced the first engine that could be used gas as a fuel. And this was, of course, long before anyone was even imagining that gas could be one of the main fuels for the marine industry. During this period, many years of hard work have, of course, learned to deal with the gas, and today the engines that we manufacture and that we supply in the market today are the most efficient in the world. And today we use them both in power plants as well as in the marine side. Power plant already, I would say 80% of the power plants that we sell today are using gas engines.
In 2011, Wartsila announced its intent to acquire Hamworthy plc, a British-headquartered global provider of specialist equipment and services to the marine, oil and gas and industrial sectors. Combining the two companies allowed both organizations to broaden and enhance their capabilities in these business sectors. While China is a main focus for Wartsila, the company's largest project so far is a 600 megawatt power plant in Jordan, the IPP3, and a recently commissioned close to 500 megawatt power plant in the Dominican Republic.
Well, in power plants business, one of the biggest changes that we've seen is the change in the business models for our customers. So traditionally, power plants generators, they have been generating power and they've been earning revenues based on how much they actually generate power. But with the new models of privatization and unbundling of utilities and transmission system operators, the introduction of renewable energy, solar and wind power, it has all changed the revenue mechanism and the business logic for many of our traditional customers. And with this smart power generation concept, we help our customers to find new ways of operating in the new environment and new ways to make business with traditional power generation using natural gas.
The company now employs over 18,000 people in more than 70 countries.
By growing, we become more efficient. That means that everything we do, we need less resources for. So we would like to create an environment for Wartsila where we grow and we have the possibility to add people all the time, but also continue to develop people within the company.
In close to 200 years, Ironworks Wartsila has grown into a leading supplier of power systems and a technology innovator on both land and sea.
And the unique thing is that Wartsila has managed during this period to build up a leading position within both of these areas. And I do believe that moving into forward, you need to focus. You need to operate within niches where you can have a strong position, because the competition becomes so strong that if you want to be successful within an area, you actually have to be the customer's first choice.